Definitely not the correct, but yes.
I want to first give a shout out to MCAT Neil, but now I'm all nervous because this is being recorded. But I love my humanness, and I love that about all of you, to tell you the truth. I love that we come together as women and non-binary women to see, hear, and acknowledge each other in a meaningful way to better our community, because together we can do more than I could do alone. So I want to thank you all for being here. So good to see you all. And I'm going to use my little cheat sheet and welcome you. But before this even begins, I want to give a big shout out to the Women's Giving Circle Steering Committee members, the event committee specifically. So if we can just have Jamie, if you all can just kind of give a wave so we can thank you for this amazing spread. And we want to give a shout out to High Stakes Foundation and Good Works for the great facility, because we are together in person. And again to MCAT and our friend Neil, who at the witching hour came in to help us. And I also want to give a shout out, if you're enjoying any of the wine, giving a shout out to Grizzly Liquor, the Good Food Store, for many of the snacks. Uh-oh, I got to cheat after all. I thought I had it all. The steering committee. Oh no, I did get it all, but most importantly, I would like to take a moment and invite each of you to thank yourselves for being amazing human beings who make a difference. So thank you so much for joining us for an in-person finalist presentation. So I want to congratulate All Nations Health Center and the American Indian Women's Book Club. I saw Faith a moment ago and now I've lost, oh, right in front of my face. Yes, and Desha and Letitia and Seedlings for Solidarity and Katie and Sarah and others. And no, I had that backwards. No, Indigenous Made Missoula. I'll wear my glasses. For a reason. I know, but and then Seedlings for Solidarity. Katie right behind beautiful Nancy there, and Sarah. So we're so excited to be here together with all of you. So I want to tell you a little bit. Is there anyone here that is wondering what you're doing here? Is everyone here familiar with the Women's Giving Circle? You've been involved. Would you like a little information, a little history? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to give you a little information. So the Giving Circle was started in 2018 as a collaborative effort by the Missoula Community Foundation, which we'll get to in a minute, and the Women's Foundation of Montana. Since then, women and non-binary people have collectively given over $40,000 to support important work in our community. We are now solely a program of Missoula Community Foundation, and that's who I think I left out of my thank yous. And I need to give the hugest shout out to Marcy Allen and Ann, I can never say your last name right, and I saw her a minute ago, Wiltsey. Ann Wiltsey, who's the reason that we appear mildly organized. So thank you so much for all that you do, and for your belief in the importance of us coming together. Also, I know Kathy, where is Kathy? I would like to invite Kathy Witkowski to come up here and speak with you a little bit about our membership and some exciting changes that are coming in 2023 that we want you to be aware of. So, Kathy.
Thank you, Dawn, and thank you to all of you for coming tonight. I know people are so busy. It was amazing hearing back from people who are like, oh, I really want to come, but I have a meeting at 6, and then I have a meeting at 7, or I have a meeting at 5, and I'll come at 6, and we have some people who are just, it's always the busiest people who get stuff done, right? So look around the room, like these are the doers, like these are not the people who just sit around, these are the doers, and you get a chance to connect with them, and it's one reason why I really, really love the circle. So thank you so much for being here. Before we go any further, I would like to ask people to silence their phones if you haven't already done so. I just realized I haven't done it myself, but I will. But I hope it doesn't ring between now and when I'm done. Let's see, I think one thing that Dawn did not say is that we were founded in 2018, is that right, Dawn? And since then we've given away $40,000 in grants, which is awesome. One thing that makes us really different from other giving circles around the country is our very minimal required membership fee. I've spoken to other giving circles where it's $400 or as much as $1,000, and that's great. They give away a lot of money that way, as you can imagine. They raise a lot of money that way, but it cuts out a whole lot of people from being philanthropists and seeing what that feels like to leverage a small gift and make a big impact. And that's another reason why I really love the Giving Circle, because it allows us to connect with people of all means, but all with good brains and generous hearts. So once again, you can look around the room and know who you are, which is all of you. So cheers to cheers to that. So we usually fluctuate between, I think, about 75 and 100 members. And my goal as membership chair is to get us up to a solid and consistent 100 members. So if you know people who you think would want to be part of this awesome group, please let them know. They can still join and vote on this grant cycle. Because we are recording these presentations. Neil from MCAT is recording them, and then we will be sending out a link for our members to see those. And I think you can vote till November 30th, is that right, Dawn? Did I get that right? Something like that. So they have a little bit of time. So that's great. And that leads me to, in the interest of consistency, we had been having a model where whenever you joined, you could join anytime during the year, and your membership was good for 12 months. But in the interest of simplifying the logistics for not just us and not just poor Ann Wiltsey at the Missoula Community Foundation, but really for all of you, because I think it's really hard to keep track of, like, well, when did I join, and am I still good? And we're just going to simplify, and as of 2023, we will be asking everyone to re-up their memberships in February. So we will be having a membership drive. So if you joined in the summer, you're going to be like, wait, didn't I just join? But what will happen is that then you will be able to vote in that calendar year. So whenever you join during the calendar year, you can participate in that calendar year's grant cycle. And we hope that you all join in February, so I can write you all thank you notes in February and March, and then I don't have to think about writing thank you notes for the rest of the year. And speaking of which, actually, if any of you would like to join the membership committee, if any of you like to write thank you notes, or reach out to your members. Last year we did a survey, that was really fun. We got to connect with our members, or any of the other 3 committees. We have a processes committee, and we have an events committee. The events committee put this together, and we have a what's the other one?
Marketing.
A marketing committee, yes. So we're always looking for help. And you don't need to be on the steering committee to be a member of one of our committees. We are always looking for people to join the steering committee also, though, and that's like our board. And we meet 4 times a year. Did I get that right? Yeah, I think something like that. 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess Dawn's going to talk about that later. Sorry, didn't mean to steal your thunder, Dawn. So those are the changes in the membership process. And again, thank you all for being here. It's super exciting. I know a lot of you, and so that's really fun for me, because it's like somebody else holding a party with all my friends here. So, and without further ado, I guess Dawn, are you coming back up, or are we? Yeah. Okay. So Dawn is coming back up, and thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Kathy. So thank you, Kathy, who has worked hard to continue to improve the ways that we communicate. We're fairly young, and we're very, I love how Kathy said it. If you look around the room, you see some of the busiest people in Missoula, Montana in this room. And so it's really a privilege to be here with all of you. But I do want to inform you that we will have, well, I think it's only 4 now, but up to 5 steering committee positions effective January. And what we're super excited about, before I go any further, because I do think it's important to acknowledge, and I didn't see Jen until after the fact, so I just want to acknowledge Jen. You will.
That's right.
You will. Yes, victory. First of all, congratulations on your new job. Executive Director of the YWCA. Effective soon. Cindy's retiring. But also as part of the Montana Women's Foundation, one of the co-founders of the Women's Giving Circle. So my apologies for not seeing you sooner. And thank you. I'm so glad you're
Thanks
here.
for all being here. I love that it keeps going.
Well, that's kind of the goal, isn't it? That it's bigger than any one of us, and even maybe the sum of all of us. So there's up to 5 seats. We'll be sending an email. We'll be reaching out to you individually. Some of you I know are pretty busy, so no is an acceptable answer, because the important thing is that we give what we can give, and we always know that's enough, right? And so often we forget that, and we think we need to do more. We're not doing enough, but I'm telling you, we're all enough. We give enough, we do enough, we have enough, right? We're blessed. So let's see what I didn't remember. I can see Laura going, oh, I should look at her notes. All right, now what we're really here for, yes. Huh? I forgot something. Oh, the land acknowledgement. Is Molly here? Okay, I'm going to give this, but I'm going to use the words Salish and Kalispel, and my apologies, because my guttural is very Scandinavian. So, thank you. I was looking for Molly. It's bad. I've had the privilege of studying the Lakota language for 20 years, and I get teased every time, in a good way, in a very good way. The Women's Giving Circle acknowledges that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. I was going to try, but today we honor the path that they have always shown us in caring for this place in generations before us and generations to come. I also want to thank and acknowledge the Salish Kalispel Cultural Committee and the University of Montana for allowing us to use this land acknowledgement that was created for them. Thank you so much, because I would have realized it later and felt sick about it. So, huh? And Mary Stranahan. Thank you. Will you please tell Mary thank you? Did I not say that?
I think you said that.
Okay. I'm like, crap. Next time you're doing it, never mind. And again, love my humanness. I hope you all get to feel the same way about mine and yours. But the reason we're here now, so we, the steering committee had the privilege, I want to congratulate all 11 applicants. We had some amazing applications, and it was a beautiful 2-meeting process, winnowing it down. Here's Molly. She knew she was going to be like, winnowing it down to 3. So we want to congratulate all 11 applicants, and thank you. And we have communicated that, but I just want you to know that they were all amazing. So it is really a great privilege and honor to tell you that we have 3 amazing finalists. God, my brain, I get so emotional, I love that. That are going to present, and they're going to be able to tell their story better than any of us could. And one thing I did want to tell you about that I think is so important, one thing we realized when we talk about what the Grand Focus is, we're deliberate in that. We do it every year. Some people decide Grand Focus for multiple years, and some people and we are one that choose to do it yearly because it reflects the current membership. And the one thing that when the grant focus, some of us wish we would have thought to say Indigenous concerns instead of Indigenous issues because of the word issues and all that comes with it. So it's definitely never our intention to offend, but we're all learning and growing together. And the one thing that we really understand is there's more that we don't know than we do know, but it doesn't mean we can't do our part to elevate the voice. So let's hear from the voices of our 3 finalists, beginning first with Faith Price, All Nations Health Center, and the American Indian Women's Big Book Club. We're going to turn on the technology. There will be momentary pauses. I'm so glad that we're not pauses, and we're doing the best we can. So thank you for your patience, and thank you, Karen Clark-Casson, for being our technology guru tonight. Thank you. So Faith, get it. Oh, Faith, let me turn it on for you. Okay, anyone got a good song to sing for about 60 seconds? Heather, you got something for us?
We're a dancer next.
Can you dance with no music? Yeah.
Everybody can do a little dance. Everybody shake your hands. How about everyone shake your hands? Shake your hands, shake your hands, shake your hands. Shake a leg. Or it's just me doing it by myself. That's what
Okay.
conclude my presentation for the evening.
So if we could give Faith our full love and attention, please. Thank you. Wait.
Alright, thank you. Wanikisak, Pescocalt, and Kisukukit. My name's Faith Price. I am of Sonnet Land of Wampanoag descent, but I grew up on the Flathead Reservation with the Salish people. So I work at All Nations Health Center and the Community Prevention Coordinator. I work on a suicide and substance use prevention grant. And my coworker, Lita Running Crane, would have been here tonight. She's actually the founder of the American Indian Women's Book Club, but she got sick, decided to keep her germs to herself, so she's home wisely. But she's a counselor at All Nations Health Center. And then I'll let my co-presenter introduce herself.
I'm Shelby Cole. I'm a scientist at the University of Montana. I'm Ba'ani and Métis, and I'm a book club member just for the past year or so, maybe.
So, all right, next slide. So, I'll give you a little background about the American Indian Women's Book Club. It has been in existence for about 5 years now. We have close to, we have, I think, 71 people. I looked before this. We had 71 people that are on our listserv and are involved in the Women's Book Club in one way or another, to whatever capacity they have. But we meet once a month and we read books that are by American Indian female authors. And that there are tons of them, and we never run out. We're always finding new ones, so it's amazing. So if we were to get this grant, how would we use the money? We would be, we provide the books for our membership, which we're happy to be able to do. We got some funding a couple years ago and started doing that. And so we purchase books, about 25 copies a month, and the first 25 people to snag a book get them. But we offer both paper and Audible. We have some folks that only listen on Audible, and that's how they participate. So that would be our plan, would be to purchase 25 books a month, which costs around $500 a month to do so. We also thought we would love to be able to offer some writing workshops for our members, new readers. Also, I'm sure that many of them are also very talented when it comes to writing, or would like to give a hand at it. And we have a couple of wonderful local Indigenous authors that we are thinking we would invite to do workshops. One is Deborah Erling, who just recently retired from the university, and maybe I shouldn't say this is being recorded and I haven't asked her yet. love to do a workshop. She does poetry, so she would do a poetry workshop, and hopefully Deborah would do some sort of a short story writing workshop. So we would love to be able to offer those. That's something new that we have not done before. And I could mention that we do typically buy our books from Fact and Fiction downtown. We're trying to support local women-owned bookstore. We also plan on, we're going to be reading the book Mean Spirit by Linda Hogan, which is about the Osage tribe in Oklahoma and their experience during the oil rush back in the early 1900s, I want to say. And there's a movie coming out that's on that same topic this May, and it stars Lily Gladstone, who is a Blackfeet actress, opposite Leonardo DiCaprio, so we're super excited. That's coming out in May, and we would like to take our entire book club to go see that movie. And then lastly, we also would like to become a more sustainable organization. We've had conversations across the whole organization about that, and would like to reduce waste. I think I failed to mention that when we meet once a month, we have a potluck. So we meet over food. People contribute all kinds of wonderful. We have some great cooks. But we've gotten into using paper plates and etc. And we would like to instead buy some sustainable little bento boxes that we could reuse. And I was supposed to mention that Gita Swaney was one of our, maybe some of you guys know her, Gita, was one of our original members in the book club, and she also really challenged us to be eco-friendly and sustainable. So just in the last year or so, we had started using paper plates, but we want to get back away from that. So. Okay, next slide. The impact that the American Indian Woman Book Club makes on Indigenous issues. We provide a forum for Indigenous women's voices, which is something not often heard in our community, so somewhere that they can feel heard. We typically end up discussing life experiences, the things that we can relate to these books that we're reading, and so things including both trauma and resilience. Stories of trauma and resilience are what we read. And I should say we read all kinds of books, fiction, nonfiction, memoirs, fantasy, all kinds of things. And these books allow us to process some difficult issues and relate them to our own lives and personal narratives. We read both historical things and contemporary works because there's just such a wide variety of American Indian women's literature out there. We've done lots of different types of books. But we've most recently, we've read books about boarding schools and the impact of those on real women's lives, etc., as well as healing and things like that. So just a wide variety of books. The book club allows us to celebrate unique and shared cultural perspectives. We have many different tribes within Missoula, and so lots of different folks involved from different tribes. We learn from each other at these events.
I was just going to say it's fun too that we have so many people from so many different tribes, and so it's fun because usually somebody knows somebody who knows somebody that's like a tribe of the book we're reading, so it's just,
yeah, there is that too. We get the inside scoop on some things. Experience. Creates a safe space for connections of people whose lives don't often intersect. So we've got folks like all the way from college faculty, like Gita, who's participated, and then other folks maybe who are going through it right now, struggling with homelessness or struggling with sobriety and things like that. So it brings together a wide mix of folks in this space. And in the group, they experience things like the validation of their experiences as a Native person, also support, and we'll let Shelby speak more to that in a little bit, and also to experience healing over some of the more difficult issues that we do talk about. And then lastly, it's a very intergenerational group. We've got folks that are college students or recent grads, and we've got other elders and aunties and everything in between. Transmission of values. We're reading Indigenous books with Indigenous values. and also discussing those things and how they impact us personally. Okay, next slide. And this is Shelby. Turn it over.
So I'm here to talk as a book club member about how this grant would empower the people that we would be at our book clubs, I guess. And so, like I said, I'm a scientist, and so I was in grad school recently here at UM, and I did not have good experiences. And so this book club, I think, is one of the few, the only spaces I found that was by and for Indigenous women. And yeah, I think just being an Indigenous woman in science is particularly isolating. And so this book club has been amazing to just be able to meet people in the community. Like, I know a ton of people in the community now that I would never have met. And like Lita said, or I'm so sorry, like Faith said, it's from all different backgrounds, age ranges. So it's been, I don't know, been great to see other Native women. And then too, you know, like Faith was saying, we not only relate to the books we're reading, but then we discuss it with each other and we relate to each other, and then it just helps you. You're not alone, you know, like everybody's going through the same issues. It's just that I think in Missoula, we're kind of, like us Native women are spread out across the city. And so, but it's nice to have a place that we can all meet and talk about the books we love. And also, like Faith was saying, for me, accessibility has been great because as a poor college student, I couldn't really bring food, but so a lot of times it was the only home-cooked meal I had that week sometimes. And also, and they were, of course, understanding if somebody wasn't able to bring food. And two, I'm the person that can only read audiobooks, and so there are a lot of books that I wouldn't have been able to read without the book club because some of them are like Audible exclusives, and so you can only listen to it if you are, you know, you buy it. So yeah, the book club has just been amazing. It's also an opportunity, I think, for us to like demonstrate community care. Like not only do you get to like cook something for people and then discuss it, but like you also get, so like you get to care for others in the community, and then you also get to receive that care. And like I said, just when you're pretty isolated, it's just a rare opportunity. And so the book club has been a really great, safe, and inclusive place.
Next slide. Okay, the outcomes that we expect from the book club and the things that we're trying to impact are a feeling of belonging. So we've got a diverse Indigenous community here. We're in an urban area. We're many different tribes, like we said. So building that community, breaking down barriers, folks that are from different parts of our community, and then also, yeah, creating a sense of safety and in that belonging, this community, a community that you belong to, feel safe within and safe to express yourself and your experiences. Secondly, we're working to impact connectedness, so making connection, and we were able to keep the book club going throughout the pandemic via Zoom, and then sometimes we've done hybrid, and then in the nice weather, we're usually outside at a park as long as we can. And then connectedness within our celebration of our cultural values through visiting, sharing food together. So it's feelings of belonging, connectedness, and then lastly, identity with offering books that are meaningful and that folks can relate to because they're things that, yeah, the experiences that they've had or the language or the experiences of the characters they can relate to. So connection through meaningful reads, connection to identity, and then also the conversations we have that we're able to express ourselves as Indigenous women. Fostering intergenerational connection, which is important to us culturally, to have those connection to, for young people to have connections with elders and having those friendships and support across different generations. And then lastly, feelings of acceptance and validation and inclusion around our identity. And we know, I'm also a scientist, but a prevention scientist, and we know that belonging and connectedness and identity are all protective factors in terms of for suicide prevention and substance use prevention. So we know these things are helpful in that way. So, okay, next slide, next and the last slide, I think. Yeah, our timeline, we would be working with, we're very lucky to have an epidemiologist on our staff who helps us to do evaluations, so we would be ready. We're already meeting monthly anyway, so we're ready to roll with the book club. We would have been meeting tonight except for this, but we'll be meeting again in December, ready to roll. We've got to talk to our epidemiologist to do a little more evaluation of the book club and see if we're actually moving the needle on those three things: belonging and connectedness and identity. So we would be working with her to develop some evaluation for the grant. But then we would be able to jump right in. We have monthly meetings that would happen, and then hopefully a spring and a fall writer's workshop, and the movie release party are our timeline for 2023 for spending the funds. So we're good to go there. And then last little slide is thank you. Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for considering us, and just also to say that you have no bad choices. You have really fantastic. I was amazed when I saw the other list of finalists, and Shelby has vended with Indigenous Made Missoula. I have shopped with Indigenous Made Missoula. And then I think we were talking earlier, some of these folks have been members of our book club, and we've also all received plants from Seedlings for Solidarity. You guys have a win-win here. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the American Indian Women's Book Club?
I have 2 questions. How do you spread the word to get other women who might be interested to join your book club?
We have put things on our social media, not regularly enough, which we were talking about needing to do that more often. And we have an extensive email list, and then otherwise word of mouth.
So you guys have a Facebook page?
Not for the club, but for All Nations Health Centers. So
Okay,
it gets
okay.
posted. We occasionally post on there to encourage people, hey, this is what we're reading. If you want to join us, this is when we meet.
So that would be a place to direct someone who might be interested. Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Yes, go
Who
ahead.
picks your books?
The club picks the books. When
So
we meet every month, we try to pick a month in advance so that we can order books in time to give them out at the next meeting. But yeah, the club selects. what
It's
we want to
usually
do.
like the members that are there that month that actually meet to discuss, and so yeah, like usually it's after we've already discussed the books and when we're then grabbing seconds that we start talking about the next month's book. So yeah, the members usually.
Any other questions? All right, well done. Thank you. I'm glad. So I'll turn this off while you gear up the Indigenous Made baby. We're just going to leave it on. There we go. So Indigenous Made is next. So we'll take a couple minutes to switch to technology. And if you need something else to drink. Thanks for being here. Hello. Hello. So again, a big shout out. One thing I forgot to say, I'm forgetting everything, and that's part of my charm, part of my challenge. But I forgot to say it's so exciting because I want to congratulate all 3 of our finalists, because all 3 of them, 2 of them will receive a $1,000 unrestricted gift from the Women's Giving Circle. That we made that change consistently now, so that that's going to happen. And then we will have the grant recipient that will receive the $10,000 for the project. So really, truly want to congratulate you again. And I also have the privilege of introducing a newly fiscal sponsored organization. Then they'll get to speak about all of that, so I'll let you tell your story. But Daisha Griego, check this out, Letitia Buck Elk Thunder. I actually would have remembered that one, but I'm going to give you your name tag back. She had my back. That's what we do for each other, right? So let's give it up for Indigenous Made Missoula.
Yaten she'e Letitia Buck Thunder Yinshia Biket Hujin Michelin Twitter Veshishti Biket Hujin Veshite Do Touching Veshina. Hello, my name is Letitia Buck Thunder.
Miote Pascal, Densei, Deja Red Thunder Griego, Nasiga Stone. Good evening, my name is Deja Red Thunder Griego.
We are the co-founders of Indigenous Made Missoula, and we're honored to be here tonight, and we're excited to share our project with you. And we wanted to start off by sharing our story.
I'm going to encourage you to get really close to the mic so we can hear you.
I know, we're quiet, we can't. We're like, we hope we have mics because we don't talk. Well, our paths first crossed at a sewing class where we were working on fancy shawl regalia for our daughters. That picture in the corner are our little girls about 5 years ago when we first met, and those are the outfits that we were working on. We became friends immediately and connected over motherhood and art, and after the class ended, we continued supporting each other and building our friendship. It wasn't long at all before we realized we have a lot of the same dreams and ideas and hopes, and some of those specifically were creating a space for Indigenous artists where we could connect, create, feel safe to be our authentic selves. We thought about what that would look like, what it would feel like, what it would mean for our daughters, all of our children in our community. Indigenous Made Missoula was founded. It is an Indigenous women-led organization dedicated to empowering a diverse community of Indigenous artists and entrepreneurs. We founded on Indigenous Peoples Day 2022, so just last month, and have created an inclusive and equitable space for Indigenous people from all walks of life to express themselves through art. We're proudly fiscally sponsored by Arts Missoula.
So in our dreaming stage, we often talked about the lack of representation, spaces, and opportunities for Indigenous artists in the community as we battled issues such as cultural appropriation and misrepresentation. We asked ourselves questions like, why isn't there Indigenous representation in this space? How can I sell my art to help support my family? And where can I find Native American art, jewelry performers, and other talent? We wanted to create a platform where we could respond to those issues. As Indigenous women and artists, we understand that the arts have been an integral part of diverse Indigenous communities. For countless generations, Indigenous art continues to be used as a resource to raise awareness of Indigenous issues, recount history, stories, connection, celebration, inspiration, to generate income in both tribal and non-tribal communities. It's emotional and nervous at the same time. We host culturally informed events such as the First Peoples Market, and it's really to create visibility and economic opportunities for Indigenous artisans and makers, entrepreneurs. And we want to educate the Missoula community on Indigenous issues like the importance of supporting Indigenous businesses and harm done by perpetuating cultural stereotypes.
So our project is the First Peoples Art and Talent Network. We will be creating the network. It's a safe, supportive environment for Indigenous artists to connect with each other while accessing resources that aren't always easily accessible. Our people have endured generations of hardships, including systemic racism and genocide, and art has been, like she said, part of our culture for generations. It's a healing tool. It's also an economic tool that's untapped in our community. Eloise Kubel, who's Blackfeet, says it best in this quote: "Art is the greatest asset Indian people have in our community, yet it is the most underdeveloped." Through our network, we will be creating a safe and empowering community. Our network is also led by Indigenous women for Indigenous people, and we will be developing strong relationships with artists and consumers to help facilitate unity and growth in our community at large. Next slide, please. Our vision for the network and for Indigenous Me Missoula is to have a space where Indigenous people are centered and celebrated, where Indigenous-focused events are hosted by Indigenous people, and where every member of our community, from tiny tot to elder, is respectfully represented.
It is estimated that 30% of all Indigenous people are practicing or emerging artists, and most are living below the poverty line. Many Native American households rely on home-based businesses for income, with close to 80% of those businesses consisting of some form of art. The First Peoples Art and Talent Network will empower established and emerging artists to effectively increase their economic success by providing access to professional development opportunities and community support and access to a makerspace with tools and supplies that are not easily accessible to produce contemporary and traditional Indigenous art. These supports provide some of our most vulnerable relatives the opportunity to increase their income through the Indigenous art economy. Our participants include Indigenous creatives at all stages of life, from youth to elders, as youth as young as 8 to elders. We're already seeing multi-generational families creating and participating in the markets as well. In addition to the direct services provided to Indigenous artists, members of the general Missoula community will benefit from programming that includes community education, awareness on Indigenous issues, and exposure to Indigenous art and culture.
I just want to point out on that last slide, it's our girls again. Our first event last year, they were hustling buttons. Next slide. So how we will measure success. So program goals are, again, representation. So we want to increase visibility of Indigenous people in Missoula as a whole. So at our community events and public spaces, and yeah, even what consumers are purchasing. We also hope that our Indigenous people and artists have a greater sense of belonging within Missoula, that we have a stronger presence and feel like we belong here. And then finally, for our artists to increase their income through participation in the Indigenous art economy. And our plan to measure that success is to do interviews and evaluations at the beginning and end of the year.
Okay, so our project budget, should we be awarded the funding, it will go towards 3 areas. Number 1 is our makerspace. We'll be purchasing tools, materials, and supplies that are difficult and nearly impossible to find locally. And that includes things like certain fabrics, hides, shells, quills, beads. Number 2 is technology. A large portion of the funding will go towards technology, really to help us operate and organize effectively. This also includes a website where we're hoping to host an artist directory, an online shop, as well as an event calendar. Lastly, staffing. We wanted to use a portion of the funds to compensate those carrying out the project, including organizers and class instructors. And our project timeline is, at 3 months, supplies are going to be purchased for the makerspace. At 6 months, our website will be relaunched. And at 12 months, we'll be the proud organizers of a thriving network of Indigenous artists, makers, and entrepreneurs.
Oh yeah. Thank you. And I'm not alone focusing on Indigenous issues this year. I totally agree with Faith that you can't go wrong with any of the organizations or programs, and we're honored to be here and share this night with you. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Do you have a space identified?
We don't have a physical space at this time. We have been doing pop-up markets. So our next event is November 26th, Small Business Saturday at the fairgrounds. And you're all invited. Please be there.
What time? 10
That's 5.
I have a question. Did you speak, I saw on the slide, and I might have missed it, but did you speak to the question, can non-native people wear Indigenous jewelry and fashion?
Yes, they can. So what we recommend, we encourage is that when you purchase Indigenous art, beadwork, and you wear it, you're supporting an Indigenous artist. So people will ask you, like, that's beautiful, where did you get it? You can promote that person. What we don't recommend is that you see that design and say, I can make that, and go home and try to make it, or buy from somebody who's native inspired but is not an Indigenous person. Yeah.
Excellent question.
I mean, it's a good question, because I think so often, well, I won't go off on that, so I was about to go off on one of my tapes. Well,
that's what
yeah. But I think so often we live in fear, right? Like we want to be hot.
White people worry.
Right. And so I think it's important, the more candid our conversations are, the more we get to raise each other up. I love, yes.
And one of the things also that we would mention is that at our markets, our artists are not going to be selling items that are sacred or spiritual or things that shouldn't be sold. So buy the things at the market and wear them and give to them and support Indigenous art.
We have another question?
Is part of your technology and staffing and stuff, for those artists that are better artists than business people, are you going to be able to empower them to handle that aspect of their business?
Yeah, a big part of the planning and in getting to know our artists is we want to what we've been doing interviews with them and getting to know them and seeing where they're at, because a big thing in our community is meeting them where they're at, because there is a big difference between being an artist and an entrepreneur. So it's trying to uplift those who need to get to a certain point and helping build that medium so we can really help uplift and increase everybody's income.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many events are you planning in the next year?
Oh, we have to meet probably the next week to go over our calendar, because since we launched last month, we are getting a lot of interest from community supporters, which has been incredible. Missoula women have been our biggest supporters so far. We're thinking like once a month possibly, but we're looking at the calendar,
Yeah,
And then-
booked through the year.
Okay. And then the other question is, how many artists are involved in your network right now?
Right now, we're averaging 30 artists. At our first market, there was 37. Right now, we're 30 and building for the next market.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
And a lot of those artists are actually mother, sister, father, daughter. Like, they're all,
Auntie, grandma.
they're all multi-generational. The
Oh,
majority.
great. Okay, thank you.
And did I understand correctly that you're also looking for a space where people can create together? Or was that like a metaphorical space that you were talking about?
A physical space would be incredible so that we could have a makerspace. One of the things that we connected with when our friendship started was creating together and learning from each other and inspiring each other and giving each other ideas. So that's something that we would love to have for the community at large. So physical makerspace where they could also access the supplies and tools would be awesome.
Any other questions? Okay, well, Katie gears up. Go ahead and get a drink, take a couple minutes, we'll take about a 5-minute break.
Hello. Hello. Thank you. Not yet.
Karen, you gotta come here. All right. Now have a seat.
So, sorry.
One more minute, please.
Patrick, it's post-disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, you're the host. Oh, you got kicked out. Okay. You're host again. You're good now. Yep, you're good to go.
You can see it now.
One more time.
Yep.
Golden?
Yes.
We are golden. Okay, so now we get to hear from our third finalist, and I'm gonna introduce Seedlings for Solidarity and Katie Jacquet. No? I worked hard, man. No. I worked hard for both. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Katie, and I'll let you introduce Patrick and Shelby. So here's Katie.
Sorry.
Oh, that's, hey, I love keyboarders.
First of all, Patrick, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're trying to get some technical difficulties going. Patrick is sick, so unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. So he's joining us from Zoom. So thank everybody. Thank you so much for being here and listening to our presentation. Next slide. So my name is Katie Jacquet. I am here as a co-founder and representative for Seedlings for Solidarity. And we have Patrick on Zoom here. I'll let Patrick introduce himself.
My name is Patrick Iwaki. I am Zuni Pueblo, also Turtlemont Anishinaabe. I am the executive director for People's Food Sovereignty Program. We're a grassroots, fiscally sponsored organization here on the Flathead Reservation. We've been in operation for 3 years now.
And yeah, today we're just gonna walk through a little bit of what People's Food Sovereignty does, what we do as Seedlings for Solidarity, and then talk about the Garden Network program, which we are seeking funding for. Next slide.
So again, People's Food Sovereignty Program is a multifaceted organization. We've essentially initiated our program out of a food system plan that we created in while I was going to college at Sayos Cooney College, and so now we've implemented different parts of the program, and we focus on different things, everything from actually changing the food system to total advocacy and policy change. In these photos here, we have a picture of us registering people to vote at the Arley Powwow. I had in the center right here is myself lobbying at the state legislature regarding food security in Montana, and then also a college internship program that we've initiated this last year with 2 college students out of Illinois and Bozeman. Change the slide, please. biggest program that we've initiated so far is our traditional meat distribution and dry meat program. This was created out of a program that we were running during the onset of COVID-19. This program was a branch off because tribal members were inquiring about certain types of other important cultural needs. And so we created this program and have been distributing meat throughout the reservation. We're set to distribute 5,000 pounds this season. And then the right is a dry meat program that we've created and for mass distribution of dry meat to tribal members. And you can change to the slide, please.
And so a little intro to Seedlings for Solidarity. We are a Missoula-based, volunteer-run mutual aid project working to expand equitable access to seeds, seedlings, and gardening supplies. We started in January of 2021, and it was actually just a very small project. Just a few of us got together and thought, like, hey, we could grow some seedlings on our windowsills, and then we could share them. And it rapidly spiraled into something much bigger as it became clear there was a real need for this in our community. And we recognize that we have a unique opportunity here in Missoula and Western Montana, which is that people across economic spectrums often will have some access to exterior space to grow food. And so we wanted to take advantage of that. And we consider ourselves a food sovereignty project. If you haven't heard of that term before, I wanted to define it. Food sovereignty is the right of peoples to healthy and culturally appropriate food produced through ecological sound and sustainable methods, and their right to define their own food and agricultural systems. Food sovereignty recognizes that the right to food is sacred, the work is participatory, it is supportive of self-determination and autonomy of all peoples, and it provides a restorative framework for food policy. So what does that mean? What do we actually do? So one of the main things we do is we provide seeds and seedlings to people in the community free of charge. In 2022, this last spring, we distributed over 1,000 seed packets and over 10,000 veggie seedlings. And we did that through the use of a greenhouse at the University of Montana Plant Ecology Lab. They had a greenhouse that was being unused. It's like not fit for research grade anymore, and it was actually just being used for storage. And they let us use it. So we've used it for the last 2 years, and we are going to be continuing that relationship moving forward, which is just really incredible for us. Additionally, we like to think holistically about how we can overcome barriers to growing your own food. When you're starting out, it can be expensive, and you need some resources, and you need some knowledge. And so thinking about that and we've provided garden beds and planter boxes, compost, soil, gardening tools, educational resources. We've done workshops, and really trying to think about how we can support food autonomy. And so in that same vein, we like to center our work on people and communities that are historically and currently being harmed by our economic and governmental systems, and we recognize that justice does not trickle down, it only grows up. And so we have partnered with a lot of really great organizations in Missoula and on the Flathead Reservation, including Soft Landing Missoula, and working with refugee communities there, the Missoula Food Bank and Community Center. The Poverlo Center, we maintain garden beds in their courtyard, and then also providing seedlings to the All Nations Health Center, to their garden program, as well as our collaboration with People's Food Sovereignty Program, Garden Network, which Patrick will talk about in a minute. We also this year, we had our first community garden started this year in town, which was super exciting. And we have now joined forces with our sister project, Missoula Community Free Fridge, which is a mutual aid project that aims to provide access to food to anyone in the community through a network of free fridges and pantries. And we were able to use all the food that we grew in the garden to stock our fridges and to make prepared foods for those fridges.
So these are our first posters that we've created for the Garden Network program. The one on the left was one that we created in our first year. We then transitioned to the one on the right, just giving it more of a, friendlier feel, and, we have to upgrade. If you can change the slide, please. Our Garden Bed Network has been publicized in the Charcusta. We had an article written in the year last year. This is just a setup of kind of what you would receive in the Garden Bed Network. This is my wife, Regina, pictured. She is the chairwoman of People's Food Sovereignty Program, and this was a great opportunity to get the word out about what we've been up to. If you can change the slide, please. So, when we say all hands on deck, it really does take, the efforts of people that really, are willing to put, break their backs doing this. Whenever we first started in our first year, working with Seedlings Solidarity and their group, pictured on the left here, we're breaking down the wood, and then also a picture of the seedlings for that first year. And being able to also work with the Missoula community, so many people step up whenever we put out, ask for volunteers. Definitely in our first year, Seedlings for Solidarity procured us the recycled materials out of the Lois Center at Missoula, University of Missoula, and we're able to refurbish over $23,000 worth of recycled soil, organic black soil, and wood. And when we have to break down the material as well. And so when we say all hands on deck, there's photos of about 20 people coming from the Missoula community just to help us break it down. In the picture in the middle is one of our food sovereignty warriors with the brown hat on. His name's Lex Pierre. He works with us as one of our employees. And then on the right, again, is one of our interns that helped us out with this last summer. He also helped us out with our dry meat, figuring out how to use our dehydration system. On the bottom is me and my son. This was the first bed of last year's season. And you can change the slide, please. Our biggest goal when we talk about food sovereignty or this Garden Bed Network is understanding, putting more nutritional foods in your body helps fight the toxic kind of processed foods that many people eat, definitely in tribal communities. And so being able to have the access to fresh foods in a garden right in their house or right in their backyard really provides that that ability to grow your own foods, grow to nutritional value, and then be able to utilize the physical activity of gardening to help better mental health and be able to have an outlet for other types of ways to deal with kind of the historical traumas that are faced in tribal communities. And so this is just an excellent way for us to be able to connect with the community. The picture in the middle is located in St. Ignatius. This picture is pretty powerful, just with the historical traumas that have happened with the boarding school there. This is an elder in the community, and being able to have that garden in that area is really appreciated. On the right hand, or on the top right, is a photo of an elder, Kootenai, out of Elmo. She is one of our greatest supporters. She provides constant photos of all the foods that she grew, and then how she added it into recipes that she of foods that she ate daily. And so we really appreciate that. And Chief Cliff is in the back there. On the bottom right is a garden bed that we've done in Pablo. Pablo is one of the lowest income, or the lowest income cities in Montana. And this was just an excellent opportunity to be able to show that we go to, we travel the distances and make sure that anybody who needs or wants a garden bed, their needs are met. You can change the slide, please. And then another big focus that we try to procure our supplies is through reduce, reuse, and recycle, and just like the Losman Center, how we're able to break that down. We've created relationships with other companies who provide refurbished wood, and this is us picking up a load of refurbished wood that we provided in our second year. And so, being able to utilize these materials, definitely to not let them go to waste is super important for us. You can change the slide, please.
So Seedlings for Solidarity we are really grateful to be able to work with People's Food Sovereignty Program on the Garden Network program. How we've been involved is then the first year, two seasons ago, we provided garden beds, soil, compost, tools, seedlings, and seeds for 40 of the 51 gardens that they set up. And then this year in 2022, we supplied seedlings and seeds for over 81 different gardens on the Flathead Reservation to tribal households. And you can see here we've got boxes of these seedlings. So each household got like 20 to 30 plants of all different kinds. We had peppers and tomatoes and eggplants and bok choy and herbs and green onions and everything that you could think of that we grew in our greenhouse, and also some that we received from other places around town, like other farms and the peas farm as well. And then we also provided a lot of seeds for the crops that can just be directly sowed, and a lot of those seeds were provided to us from Peas Farm again, so grown here in town, organic, and then we were able to package those up, and I painstakingly made all these little drawings on 500 different seed packages. I don't know, I'm crazy. But I couldn't help myself. It's too cute, And yeah, here's a photo of us working with Patrick and some of our members delivering seedlings up to Ronan. Next slide. So why we're here is we are looking to fund our third annual Garden Network program, and this funding specifically would help us to expand participants, provide resources to those participants, and support sustainability within our own groups. So right now, again, there's over 80 different tribal households that participate, and Patrick is looking at adding up to maybe 120. And then, so the money would be, so some of the funding would go to our greenhouse operations, so that would be to purchase some supplies we need for the greenhouse, and then also we have learned through doing this for 2 years that although we are volunteer run and we want to maintain that there is a couple of key positions that require a little more time and energy, so we would love to give a stipend to our greenhouse coordinator. The next area of funding would be transportation. So as Patrick has mentioned, participants come from all over the Flathead Reservation, which is a huge area that they hand deliver everything. So the soil, the compost, the garden beds, everything is hand delivered directly to people's houses. And so that's a lot of miles to travel. So we'd be able to use the money for fuel. And then also, again, we would love to provide a small stipend to a distribution coordinator who would be in charge of kind of coordinating all this transportation, as well as coordinating all the purchases of all the supplies and getting all the packages together for every household. And most of the money would be going directly to participants in the program. So it would be going to the lumber for building the garden boxes, soil and compost, and then the gardening tool packages, which we have found that that's one of the most cost-intensive parts of this program, because we can get we do get secondhand stuff from like Home Resource, and we've had garage sales where we've asked people to buy that stuff, but on this kind of scale, we are looking, you kind of do have to buy some stuff new, because we're talking about hoses and, each person might need 3 or 4 tomato cages, or, stakes and fertilizer, hand tools, all those kinds of stuff. So that would really help us being able to fill out those packages so that each participant gets everything that they need to be able to be a successful gardener. Next slide. So the timeline for the project, so we're mostly like a spring-based project, so hopefully in January we will start the logistics and planning and start talking about like what's worked in past seasons, what we kind of like want to change and what could be better. We'll start growing seedlings in the greenhouse in March. We'll start preparing the packages, including like sourcing all the compost and soil and lumber, buying all the tools and all of that. We will be doing that throughout the spring. And then building beds, the garden beds on site, and distributing all of these materials happens in May to June, about after the last frost of the spring. Next slide.
So basically, we super respect the Missoula community and their ability to step up and how Seedlings of Solidarity really provided this opportunity for us to really create this opportunity for healing, and that's kind of where the foundation of this program is established. Basically, everything that they provided allows us to make everything more efficient, and so being able to utilize this funding will be able to allow us to procure our supplies, labor needed to create a garden bed network on the reservation. And so this program, again, is free for everybody, and we deliver and install, like she said. This basically just eliminates all the barriers that any of our tribal households had faced in the past, and just really allows them to get into the program and really a gardening lifestyle. Change the slide, please. Okay, so again, our overarching goal is to ensure that this program just allows that easy access into an entry-level gardening program. But a priority, again, is to offer this healthy alternative to addressing our historical traumas. Many tribal members don't have positive outlets, and what we're trying to do is just expand their options to be able to provide, again, something that is just right in their backyard, to be able to get their hands in the dirt and really transform their life. And we were able to see many of our participants, escape lives of alcoholism or drug abuse or even depression or suicide, and being able to uplift themselves by just really caring for something, putting that care into something and seeing it grow. They really see the value in that, and it gives them something to live for. And I think that has been our super overarching goal of this program. But also being able to lower their dependence on the local supermarkets or food markets on the reservation. Many food markets definitely on the more rural parts of the reservation. Like when I say rural, I'm saying like Hot Springs, Dixon, or Elmo. Many of these communities don't have grocery stores that provide exceptional nutritional foods, and a lot of times those, if they do have grocery stores, they close early, and they don't, they only have gas stations and things like that, corn markets, where they don't have that access to healthy foods. And we really allow that opportunity to have those foods be able to sustain them when those stores are closing. Also, this would alleviate our financial costs and transportation needs, like Katie has said. And also, what we also do is we've provided gardening lessons in our educational video series, and this assists our participants and really allows them to see first, in tribal communities, we have learned to read books and things like that, but a lot of tribal members learn better through video. And in our last year, we provided a series of videos that engage the participant and really allows them to learn from what we're trying to provide to them, and definitely in an indigenous, sustainable, agricultural way. You can change the slide, please. Okay, so our everything that we're expecting to do has been because our program has become more efficient after every year, and definitely working with Seasons of Solidarity, and then our local landscaping supply stores in the area, and then also again these refurbished wood companies. We're able to really source our supplies, and definitely the relationships that we've made with these companies really get discounts on the soil and wood that we need. And so this makes everything really super efficient for us, and then it also provides this to keep our money in the local community as well. In our first year, we finished 51 garden beds. In our second year, we distributed 30, so a total of 81. But we understand that it's based on volunteership, and when we get to the reservation, there is a source of volunteership, but we really have to pay people to participate in this and really get engaged, and it's really based because people have livelihoods, and this would help us sustain the other to help our funds sustain our people that are in our program. Definitely understanding 51 beds in one season really was a lot of effort, and we almost it is aware once you start getting around 30. So we're dedicated from doing like 30 to 35 every year going on from now. And there's around 1,000 houses on the reservation, so rough ballpark, we're already almost to 100. We're really trying to just get as much out as we can each year as we grow. And this is a program that we're looking to see go on into the far future. And then again, we would measure our successes on the beds that we install, as well as the responses of the successes that we hear from our program participants. And then also whenever participants, we ask them for photos and things like that. They send us photos of their gardens that they're growing, the successes of their gardens, as well as when they make harvests, they show us how they've incorporated those foods into their diets and their daily meals. Thank you.
And that's it. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to our presentation and your consideration and your generosity. It's been wonderful to be here. And yeah, if there's any questions or comments for us.
Questions? Molly?
So if a tribal member is living in Missoula, could they also put a bed in their garden bed in their backyard?
Definitely. So through Seedlings for Solidarity, we partnered with People's Food Sovereignty Program for specifically the tribal members that they focus on, but we also do the same thing in Missoula County. We've worked with All Nations Health Center for their garden program that they already have going, and then we also have basically an open call for anybody in Missoula County and in the community to be able to get these same services.
Do you usually have,
No, go ahead, Marcy.
do you usually have more requests than you can meet, or is it, do you have to really get the marketing out to get the word out, or what's the demand?
There's definitely more that we could meet, for sure. So yeah, Patrick could speak specifically for the Flathead Reservation in Missoula County here. yeah, we've tried different kinds of distribution methods and like how we contact people. This last year we did a lot through the food bank, which we found really successful because one, it really like targets the demographics that we're trying to hit, and then so we distributed through there and also tabled, so we would be there every week and would be like giving out seedlings and seeds and say, hey, do you need anything else? Is there other materials do you need? Do you want to sign up for a garden bed or a compost box? And there's so many people that are interested in that, so definitely more need.
Cindy, did you have and then I'll come to you, Glenda. Did you have a question or did you? Okay, Glenda?
Are you able to get back to those, and it might be for Patrick, get back to like those first year gardeners so that they keep it up through the years?
Patrick, could you hear that question?
No, can you repeat it?
The question is do we get back to the first year gardeners and see how they're doing and what the results are?
Oh yeah. Yeah, what we do is definitely in our first year we did some garden planter boxes, and those deteriorated over the winter time, so we went in and replaced their planter boxes with new beds. We also provide any type of compost or soil replacement or refills that they may need, and then we'll contact them and let them know that we're bringing seeds for delivery when those are ready.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think, Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, but just about every single person that participated in the first year, we also serviced the second year.
Yeah, every year we've provided follow-up and seedlings.
So it gets into their lifestyle every year to do their garden.
Yep, exactly.
Kathy?
I was wondering if you have noticed a need for educating people on how to use fresh produce, and if so, how you're responding to that.
So Patrick, there was a question about is there a need for education around how to use fresh produce, and how are we responding to that need?
Oh, we also have on our website recipes and then other ways to how to preserve foods or use it in different dishes. So we provide those types of educational materials as well.
Kim?
Are you an all-volunteer organization, or do you hope to be able to fund some of your folks who are spending a lot of time on the project?
So I'll speak, so Patrick, the question is about funding and volunteers. I'll speak for Seedlings for Solidarity first. So currently we are all volunteer run. We follow a mutual aid framework, which is a little bit different than a charity or a nonprofit framework that largely is really looking at using volunteer work. And instead of, we don't use a top-down hierarchy model, we actually use consensus decision-making. So we don't have an executive director. And in fact, we try to get, the idea is to be, everyone should be able to participate as much as they want and be able to participate in decision-making. And so we use a consensus decision-making for that process. However, that said, we have recognized that, like I was saying about these stipends, is that there are a couple key, it would be great to get some funding to have some staff, but it does complicate that model. So we really have to think about that and talk about that as a group, and because you don't want the person who's getting paid to be the person that's making the decisions, because that's not our model. So how do we go about that? And I do think we're at the stage now that we're having real conversations about that.
Do you have a question, Jamie, or were you just
Later
there?
when I head back.
Are there any? Oh, yes.
If you were to receive this grant, what would you do for funding after the grant to be able to continue this program?
Patrick, the question is about after this grant, where would we find funding in the future?
Well, there's different opportunities that we're creating through other businesses to help donate or help sustain this into the future. Right now, in terms of People's Food Sovereignty Program, We started as a grassroots organization. We moved into fiscal sponsorship. Now with the growth of it, we know that the next step is establishing a 501, fully functional 501c3, and being able to provide that kind of structure for the organization.
Yeah, and for seedlings.
I'm sorry, did that answer your question at all?
Yes.
Yes. and for Siblings for Solidarity, we're also fiscally sponsored. CFAC is our fiscal sponsor. And yeah, we try to use them. We did apply for some grants our first year, but it's your first year, So now that we've been doing this for 3 years, I think now we're really trying to apply for more grants, and we're able to do that because we're fiscally sponsored. And then we also use just a diverse array of tactics to be able to get funding. A lot of using secondhand materials and having people, because it's interesting, because a lot of what we do actually doesn't require that much money. The tools, that part does, but the actually growing the seedlings and the seeds, we're getting a lot of in-kind donations. Like I said, this year we scoured all, so you may not know this, but stores at the end of the year, they just usually throw all their seeds away. So we were able to, we through some dumpster diving and through some donations, we have thousands of packets of seeds now that we're going to be distributing. So we do a lot of in-kind donations, both new and secondhand, from local businesses and from individuals, and we fundraise on PayPal and Venmo, and we've participated in the Missoula giving. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wonder if you could do that with compost too, get compost contributed.
And we have Peas Farm, Peas Farm and Garden City Harvest both let us use compost. Peas Farm has a huge pile up at their farm that they let us just come. So we usually come and back a truck right up to it and fill it up. We've got, our first year we got a ton of rice bags actually from restaurants in town and coffee bags like burlap, and we filled those up with compost, because that was one thing. It's how are we gonna get all this compost individually to each person? Yeah. And so yeah, we use these burlap rice bags to do that.
Any more questions? I'm almost going to get as smart as the technology, or not. So let's, one more time, a huge round of applause for our 3 finalists. Another shout out, well, I gotta mention Jen again because she's here, but the Missoula Community Foundation, thank you so much. The steering committee, Good Works and a High Stakes Foundation, and Mary Stranahan and Dylan. Thank you. This was a great time. The Good Food Store and Grizzly Liquor and MCAT. Thank you so much. Now, what's next? Great news. Marcy and Ann, they're just brilliant. So there's a if you're ready to vote right now, there are QR codes available for you to do so. It is a tough choice. So if you're not ready to vote right now, thanks to Neil and MCAT, we had planned on sending the vote out tomorrow, but it might take till Thursday to get them, or Friday, to get the videos out. But we'll communicate. We probably will still send out the vote, and then as soon as we have the YouTube link, we will post the YouTube link for the people that weren't able to be here. But that's also available for you if you're not ready to vote. Our thing is, we will send the vote out. We're asking you to vote by November 30th. If there isn't a tie, we will communicate on the 1st. If there's a tie, we will send that out for a revote. We will communicate that. So, wow. Right? Thank you all so much. Are you guys done? Well, I don't have my clock, but we had 2 minutes left. So, way to manage all the juggling different challenges. And please give Patrick, I wanted to say this while he was on. He's sick.
Yeah.
Really sick. So, he got COVID.
So, and I wanted to do this while he was still on, but here he was. Right, here he was. So we give, we decide, and we benefit together. And I feel safe in telling all three of you, the different finalists. I don't want to say organizations, I don't know why. Like, I seem opposed to that word tonight, I don't know. But I want to thank you because just by being here tonight, I personally feel that I've benefited. So thank you so much for all that you do, and have a good night.